Welcome to this webinar on Python with Big Data, the power of Python with Big Data. Before we get started, let me give a brief introduction about myself and then we'll get started. If you have any questions before the start of this webinar, do let me know. I can help you answer some of those questions and then we'll move forward, okay? So the expectation for the class or for the webinar here is you have basic understanding of Python and the basic understanding of big data. What we would do is we would merge the power of Python with big data. Yes, absolutely. So Sundaram, what I am planning to do is there'll be less of theory and more of practicals. Okay, that's what I'm going to show, and that's what I believe in because that will be of use to you, right? I mean, if I explain a lot of theories, might not actually make sense. You might as well go to Google and read about it. So, but then if you have questions, please do let me know. Okay, now. So let me start with my introduction. My name is Balram, and I have been working in this industry, Python, big data, and so on and so forth, for a very long time. It's been more than a decade. I've been working on different technologies. You name a technology, and I would have worked on it. Okay, and I've been giving webinar sessions from a very long time. I have also taken a lot of classes, etc., in big data, Python, etc. Okay, I think I have taught more than 3,000-4,000 people so far, right? And with I would say with an awesome feedback. I mean, everyone has given me great feedback. So there you go, guys. Do not hesitate to ask any questions. Please ask questions as many as you can. I'll try my level best to answer all the questions. If I'm not able to take your questions at the end of the session, I will pass my email ID. You can shoot an email to me, or I'll give you a Twitter handle or a link to our website wherein you can go ahead and post your questions. Yes, absolutely, Hemant. I'll be doing that at the end of this webinar. Okay, how to integrate with Hadoop cluster? Okay, you want to see the integration of Python with Hadoop, right, Sundar? Yes. Okay, I'll show you that. It's a very simple thing. Okay, but let's go through. We'll start with 15-20 minutes of slides. We'll talk about Python. We'll talk about big data. I'll try to understand what is your understanding. You can ask me as to, or you can write down as to what your understanding is. The format of this webinar is such that you'll be able to ask your questions only via typing because there are too many of you, and if I unmute all of you, it might just be a mess. So I'm not doing that. Okay. So basically, again, coming back to the introduction of about myself. So it's been more than a decade. I've worked in various places, starting from an MNC to startups to writing product of my own to so many other things. Right. So here I am right now giving you webinars. Now, hopefully, at the end of this webinar, there are a lot of takeaways for you. At least, even if you don't understand the entire thing, you would understand everything in exist, and you'll be able to go back, introspect, think about it, and maybe start implementing it. Now I'll take some of your questions. Okay, so I'll time myself as to how much time I'll be taking your questions. It's 9:05 in my watch, and the first 10 minutes is for questions, and 1 hour 15 minutes. The next 1 hour will be I'll be taking you through the power of Python and big data, and last 15 minutes again I will leave it up to you to ask me questions. Okay, I might unmute you as well based on the number of questions that you have. So Vijay says, how the big data and Python going to help a QA engineer in modeling the career? Okay, I have a friend of mine, Vijay, who writes lots of automation scripts using Python. Okay, and then he's writing automation scripts on big data using Python. So I'm sure you also understand, and I'm sure you have done your own research before you came in here. Most of these multinational companies, I can name a few. Like IBM, I know for sure. IBM, McAfee, of course, Facebook and Google, they use Python extensively, okay? And as a QA engineer, you will need to automate a lot of stuff. So, understanding Python and its integration with big data is at most essential. If you're looking at the top 3 or 4 companies, I would say like Yahoo, LinkedIn, Facebook, Google, etc., right? Then Python is a must. Okay, I remember a statement from Larry Page saying that if you want to get hired in Google, learn Python. That's the statement he gave. So it was not me; it was Larry Page. So there you go, right? Mainly what I understand that Python can be used for UDFs in high peak and Python take lesser code compared to Java. Absolutely, Hemant. I mean, when we are talking about Python with big data, right, it's not just UDF. You can directly write mappers and reducers in Python, okay? And the number of lines of code that you write in Python is 1/5 of the number of lines of code that you would write in Java. Okay, and in Java, right? If you have ever programmed in Java, okay, if not in Java, let's say C++, right? During your college days or school days, right? You know how object-oriented programmings are, right? Lot of syntax, lot of semantics. Even if you, let's say, you want to write a hello world program in Java, how do you do? You say public, static, void, main. You define a class and then system.out.println hello world, and then you close your braces. Anywhere you miss even one braces over there and gone, that program is gone for a toss, right? But let me also show you okay, sorry. While I'm answering your questions, I'll also show you some small tips and bits here and there so that you understand the power of Python. Because as I see, based on your questions, right, guys, I see that you do not have you do not have a lot of understanding of Python. Okay, let me show you a little bit of Python, and then we'll go ahead and integrate that with big data. Okay, so if I were to write, let's say I say class hello world. Okay, this is how I would write in Java, right? And if you don't understand Java, don't worry about it. Okay, that's I'm and then okay, there you go, right? This is how I would write a hello world program in Java. Okay, now I'm not going beyond this for Java. Okay, this is just to give you a comparison. Now how would I write an equivalent program in Python? I'm taking your questions, Sundaram, Santosh, Hemant. I will take your questions, but just have a look at it. Okay, this is called Python shell. This is also called as, what is this called? Okay, now this is your Java code. Okay, guys, hopefully you are able to see my screen nicely, okay, vividly. And let's write a Python code. That's it. So how many lines of code did you write here in the first place? Okay, let's take this as well. Open braces, close braces. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I mean, I would consider open braces and close braces also part of syntax. Okay, and what is it that I'm writing in Python? Hello world. Does this actually work here? And there you go. Hello world. It works. Okay. Now coming back to your questions, Sundaram, basic questions in interview as well. Okay, Sundaram, because of time constraint, right, I might not be able to cover the basic questions of interview, Sundar, but there are a couple of questions that I can think of. Okay, let's say for example, how would you write a factorial? I mean, just think about it. Okay, Sundaram, if I were an interviewer right now, I would ask you to write. I would not even give you any programming language. I would say, how would you write a factorial program using any language? Right? How would you do that? I mean, I'm sure you know about it, but in the next 2 minutes, how would you write it? So if I were to be writing it in Python, see, this is how I would write. Okay, let's say I want to write a factorial program, right? I say this is a Python code for factorial. Okay, now I say df signifies I am writing a function. Okay, let's say fact, and then this is factorial, and then what am I passing? Let's say n, and I say if my n equal to 0, return 1, else return n into fact of. Will this work? So Sundar, see, I just asked you a basic question. Okay, now will this work? Let's try. Let's try to execute this. Okay, rather I'll okay, rather I will type it over here, FACT. I have another idle. I have another what is this called, IDE called PyCharm. Let me use a PyCharm ID. Looks like this is hanging right now, so I have no choice. Oh no, new. And then after this, I have 2 more minutes, and then I'll go and take you through some of the stuff that I have thought of. Okay. Webinar. And then let me minimize this. Let me say okay. There you go. And then let me copy this code that I just wrote, and then let me take it over here. My system is a little slow because I have opened a lot of stuff. Okay, there's a lot of stuff that I have over here just to explain it to you guys. Okay, now when you do copy and paste, right, the worst part is when you do copy and paste of your code, it actually, you know what it does? If n equal to 0, return 1, else. Now I'll have to type the worst part. This is the worst part over here. It actually does not work when you copy and paste. This is the problem with this ID. If n equal to 0, return 1. Okay. Else return n into fact of n minus 1 unindent. There you go. Right. It's so copy and pasting is a bit of a problem. Fact of, let's say 3. What should be the factorial of 3? Okay, you use Canopy, right? No problem. You can use Canopy. You can use Anaconda. I use PyCharm. Okay. Now you see this, guys? Fact of okay. Fact of n is not defined. Okay. Uh, let yes. Okay. Let's say n equal to 5. Okay. The reason why I am explaining, I'm writing a code and explaining to you is, right, one, I mean, there are 2 things that I want to show you. One, I want to show you that Python code is extremely easy. 2, I want to make sure that you understand this piece so that later on when I integrate this with big data, you understand. Okay. Why can't you just write return fact n? Okay, Ananya, when, I mean, what will happen if I say return fact n? It's not going to return anything, right? I want to calculate factorial. I want to have a factorial of 5. I mean, how will fact n work? I'm sorry, I did not get you. If you can be a little more elaborate, maybe I'll be able to understand. Now, Okay, Hemant, just to answer your question, right? If you look at this program, this is called function definition, and these are the logic. Look at the Python code. There are no open braces, there are no closed braces. The only amount of syntax that you see is one colon, and that's it, and indentation. Okay. In Python, there are only hardly, you can count it on your fingers as to how many numbers of syntaxes are there, right? What are the things that you need to remember? You need to remember colon, you need to remember indentation. That's about it. That's Python. Okay, that's the only amount of syntax and semantics that you have. Whereas if you have to look at Java code, there is a lot of things that you have to remember. You have to remember all those. You have to for everything, right? I said n equal to 5. If it were to be Java, how would I define n? I would say integer n equal to 5. That's how I'll do, and I would end it with a semicolon. But is it required in case of Python? No, it's not required, right? So, Hemant, again, just to respond to whatever you're asking, Python is extremely easy language to start with. Okay, if I mean under a proper guidance, enable guidance, you will be able to learn Python in 3 to 4 sessions, and it's not necessary that you have to be under anyone to learn anything. You'll have to be self-motivated in order to learn any programming language for that matter. Okay, it's no rocket science. If you are self-motivated, do a little bit of Google. You'll find books about Python. There are many books like Python the Hard Way, Python Cookbook, Python for hackers. There are so many books available online. You can download one of these. There are many videos, tutorial in YouTube, etc. You can have a look at it, but it will only teach you what you want to learn, right? Let's say, for example, you want to do some kind of web scraping. That thing may not strike you, unless it is. That's the reason why we go to schools and colleges, right? So that the teachers guide us, as to what we would want to learn, and then later on, learning is a self phenomena. No one can teach you learning. They can just guide you. So basically download any book and start reading, Hemant. So that's how I did, and that's how I would suggest you do as well. And as and when you work, you learn more. Now, okay. Now let me straight away go to no problem, Hemant. Any more questions? Keep typing in. I would respond to you a little later. But let's start with little bit of theory. Okay, I took 4 minutes more than what I had anticipated, but that's fine. Now, okay, what will you learn today? You might not be able to, I might not be able to cover everything completely over here. This might look like Greek and Latin for you because most of you who have come in the class are not from big data or, for example, or Python background, right? I was expecting to give a webinar on complete, integration of big data and Python, which I will do, but I would not do this at an expert level. I would touch this as a basic level so as to keep it interesting for you, and if needed, we can have another webinar some other time, and then or you can send me your questions and I'll respond to you later on. So what will you learn today? Why Python is popular with big data? So guys, can you tell me some of the famous frameworks on which which has been built on Python? Do you know Amazon Web Service? How many of you know Amazon Web Service? Have you heard about AWS? Okay, Vinay, Santosh, Sundar, Ananya, Deepak, Vijay. You have account in that, right, Sundaram? Excellent, right? Right. Most of you have heard about Amazon Web Services. If you have not heard about Amazon Web Services, no problem. Just Google on it, right? What does Amazon do? They sell product, right? They sell e-commerce product, but it does not just sell, products online. There is an Amazon Web Services. It also sells services online. For example, it will let you rent storage space. It will give you and hardware EC2, right? It will also let you write, map and reduce code online on Amazon Web Services, etc., etc. Okay, so AWS has been completely built on top of Python. Can you imagine that? AWS has been written on top of Python framework called as Django. Okay. So now, okay. Now, if you did not know this already, that's fine, right? If you did not know this already, wait for an error in Amazon Web Services. I'm sure if you have played around with I'll talk about Django. It's a web service built with Python, built on top of Python. Okay, I'll talk about that a little later. Okay, Deepak. So if you did not know that Amazon Web Services has been built on top of Python, just make sure that some of your program fails and look at the error messages. Just take any of those error messages, Google it, copy and paste it on Google, and then see. It'll clearly tell you that it has been built on top of Python. Okay. So why Python is popular with big data? Now, there are two reasons why Python is very, very, very extremely popular with big data. Now, even before I go there, right, guys, do you know the percentage of developers using Python to program today in US, not in India? Okay, I'm not talking about India. In US, do you know what's the percentage? Can you guys guess? Now, what is the percentage? I mean, out of all the developers in US, how many of them actually use Python, and what are the percentage of people using Java or .NET or some other programming language? It's okay, Ram, 60. Okay, Santosh is saying 20% Python, 50% Java. Ram Kumar is saying 60. Okay, approx 60. No, actually, so there are many programming languages, right? Python as such is a relatively new programming language, right? It started way back in 1993 when Guido van Rossum started Python. Okay, so lately it has started becoming famous lately in last 4 or 5 years, right? Python has picked up pace, and then everyone is using Python. Okay, I mean, just name a company and they use Python. Some of the components of Google search engine is written in Python. Okay, Facebook has written amazing number of stuffs in Python. Okay, LinkedIn uses Python. Name a company and then they would have used Python. Okay, the number of developers who have started using Python or who are using Python in US is staggering 25%. Okay, Java is around 17%, whereas Java used to be around 30-40%. It has come down to 17%, whereas .NET and all, they fall in 3%, 4% category. Okay, this was a survey by Economic Times, and just Google for it and you'll find that article. Okay, so now, and it's 25%, and this was last year. Okay, I have not seen any other reports after that, or I have not researched on it. So it's say 25% and growing. And in India, right, we always play the catch-up game, right? We are always waiting for US to adopt, and then we follow them. So even in India, it's catching up. The simple reason I can say even in India it's catching up is because when I started teaching Python long back, right, I used to have 4 or 5 persons in the class, right? Right now, I do not exceed more than 20 people in a class normally, as in when I teach. Right now, every time I teach, it's jam-packed. Sometimes there are many batches which goes on. Sometimes we have to ask people to go to some other batch and so on and so forth. Okay, it's every time it's packed. It's packed house. Okay, it's not just developers. It's testers. It's automation engineers. Just name it. It's security consultants. It's molecular biophysicists, statisticians. Just name it. Name a field, and they are all learning Python. I have also taught Python to people who are from who is a chartered accountant. They wanted to write something of their own, and then they came into the class without having any kind of programming language. They were in the class and they learned Python. Okay, teachers and so on and so forth. Okay, so that's and why is Python popular? It's because if you, let's say for example, if you write Java code for MapReduce, right? If you're writing 200 lines of MapReduce code for Java, you might end up writing what 20-30 lines of code in Java. That in Python, that's the amount of code that you write. Running MapReduce in Python is extremely easy, which I'll show you in some time from now. working with Python and natural language toolkit and Hadoop. Okay, now everything in this world, right, is starting to become a customer driven. Okay, for example, recently there was a controversy on how many of you heard a controversy relating to Snapdeal? There was more than 1 lakh uninstalls of Snapdeal in one day. How many of you heard about that news? Yes, Amir Khan, right? I mean, I'll not go into whether there was controversy or not. I will talk the technical part of it. Yes, Vijay, everyone heard about it, right? So now what does that mean? That means that everything is so connected, you know, via social media. You did hear that, right, Santosh? Everything is connected via social media, and it's so fast that your product, and it was rated 1, you know, the ratings of Snapdeal was downgraded, and it will take a very long time for them to reach where they were. That's what I believe. Okay, I don't know as to what has happened beyond that, but what I can say is, and what I've been trying to say is, because of social media, right, everything it spreads like wildfire. And you know, if there is a trend, it catches up very fast. If there is a negative trend, it catches even faster. So now when you hear about these things and when you see these things, right, what is it that comes to your mind? What actually came to my mind is, I mean, there should be some kind of mitigation plan if such a scenario happens, right? Snapdeal came one day later, and then they said that we have nothing to do with what the actor has said, right? But then by the time they said, it was already late, isn't it? So we need contingency mitigation plan. We need to understand what people are saying. We need to understand what is being written in Twitter. We need to understand what is being said in Facebook. We need to understand what is being written in WhatsApp. So that's also called as social media analytics, right? Now, how would we do social media analytics? Now, if I'm sure most of you are in Twitter, you see that you know, everyone is fighting every day on Twitter over everything these days, right? So I'm like, I want to go off social media, so slowly I deleted my account of from Twitter, and now I'm going out offline from Facebook, because that's a distraction for me, right? But if you go to Twitter and Facebook, there are a lot of things on which people fight, or people give their opinions, their comments, etc. Now, if you are a good data scientist, or if you are a good data analyst, you will also go to this website so as to know as to how your product is doing. For example, if I were in Snapdeal, after the first 10 messages or 100 messages, you know, what I would have done is I would have analyzed those data real time, and then I would have sent in an hour or two, I would have sent a statement saying that we have nothing to do with what he has said, and you know, we are a proud Indian product, and so on and so forth, right? I would have said that, but they did not say it, and there are more than 1 lakh uninstalls, right? This problem could have been mitigated, and that can be done using NLTK, which is called as Natural Language Toolkit. Using this, we can do a sentiment analysis saying that, you know, we can find out, oh, people are going towards negative sentiment, or people are saying bad thing about a product. How do we mitigate it, right? Now, I've been hearing a lot of news from retail giants such as Walmart, Target, etc., saying that the future is going to be driven by customers. Okay, it is not going to be a push. Now, all the models that you see in this market, right? It's a push-based model. When I say push-based model, you go to you go to any of these retail stores, right? You go to, let's say, Lee, Reebok, etc., right? They already have product in their stores, and then you go, you try to find for you know, your fitting shoes, and then they give you 5%, 10% discount, and you buy, right? This is called push-based model, because they've already decided what designs you want. The product is already there in market. You get to choose from limited number of products lying there in the racks, right? But in future, it's going to be pull-based model. It's going to be almost everything would be online, and it will be based on your demand that products will be generated, or even people will start customizing product based on your needs. So every individual will have his or her needs fulfilled in future, and there there will be more things at stake for companies. They'll have to be very careful. If they have negative sentiments going for them, they would need to mitigate that problem then and there. Otherwise, it's going to be a big problem. They might run into losses. And once a negative trend starts, right, it's very hard for them to stop the trend. Okay, for anyone to stop the trend. So, right, it's for you as well, right? I'm sure all of you work in one company or the other. If a negative perception is built on anyone, it takes that much more effort to build a positive impression of that. Look at Maggie. What happened to Maggie? There was a negative perception, and suddenly Maggie is out of market, right? So now for Maggie to come to what it was before, it'll take a very, very long time. So perception is the game changer here. Now, who makes perception? Is the social media. Who in social media? It is you and people like you and me. And how do we find the sentiment score, and how do we analyze the social media data? Using natural language toolkit. And in Python, natural language toolkit is extremely easy. You can read an entire statement using natural language toolkit and say whether that's a positive statement or a negative statement or a neutral statement, and so on and so forth. Okay. I'll also try to work on or give you a demo on zombie invasion model. If I'm not able to do so, what I would do is I'll share the code with you later on. You can have a look at it, and I'll try. And last, data analytics with pandas is something I'm sure I'll definitely not be able to cover. Okay, we'll do it some other time. Now, let me move on. Guys, any questions so far? Have you been able to understand or what's your expectation different because we are in the 30 minutes? I just want to know, because we have one more hour to go. I just want to know your feedback right away, so that if you want me to do course correction, there you go. I can do course correction. Right? Okay, it's great. Excellent. So let's then move on. Okay. Yeah, that's what I'm trying to do. Okay. Okay. Awesome, guys. Now, okay. Now, why Python with big data? That's a very big if, right? Why? That's a very big question. Why Python with big data? Now, I've been explaining any language needed to learn Hadoop. I would say, Ram, do you know Java already? Okay, then you already know the language to learn Hadoop. Okay. And for those of you who do not know Java, okay, Python is your best bet. And for those of you who know Java, you will eventually have to learn Python, although it will be really easy for you to learn Python, right? Easy in the sense you'll be able to learn basics of Python very fast, but then advanced is something which will take dedicated effort from you. Okay. For those of you who know Java, well and good. You are one step ahead than the rest. But for those of you who do not know Java, do not worry. Python can do everything that Java can do in lesser time and lesser effort, and with better memory management than Java. Okay. So don't worry about it. Now, why Python with big data? Now, data cleansing and preparation. Okay. Now, let me show you. Let me say S equal to, now 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. Let's say S. What's S here? Okay, Satya, Python or Scala are good for big data analytics? That's an awesome question. Okay, excellent question. Now, if you were to do in Scala, right, for big data analytics, I would say Python. But if you were to look it from a perspective of implementing MapReduce code, I would say Scala is good, because Scala is a functional programming language, and anything that you are able to implement in Scala, you'll be able to implement that as MapReduce. Okay. Now, I would not confuse everyone, because the term that I would be using in order to describe Python and Scala are little, complicated. You might be able to understand, but I'll be confusing the rest of the folks. Okay. So if you have any questions, please post, send me an email. I'll give you my email ID at the end of it, and I'll get back to you. Okay, on that. But I would say For MapReduce, Scala. For big data analytics, Python. That's all. Question is, since Hadoop frameworks was built in Java, will there be any advantage using Java over Python? Good question, Santosh. Yes, the Hadoop framework, when it started, was built on Java, right? But after that, people realized that, you know, okay, let me give you an example of Facebook, right? Uh, now, in Facebook, there are a lot of data, right? Now, terabytes. There used to be like 20 terabytes of data per day in Facebook. Okay, that was long back. Now I don't know. I think it's zettabyte of data per day. Now, in Facebook, right, there were a lot of database engineers in Facebook initially, Oracle programmers, Oracle PL/SQL programmers, who used to be writing everything, and all the data were being stored in either Oracle, MySQL, or SQL Server, okay, and even Teradata. That was once upon a time. But then, with the growth of data, Facebook realized that you know, database is not the right place to be storing that amount of data. I mean, look at the amount of fields that a normal page in Facebook has. It is like thousands of fields, right? If you are trying to build that type of table, now I'll not go into details of it. It's extremely complicated. Okay, as in maybe some other time I'll explain you. Let's say there are 1,000 columns, okay, in Facebook, right? If you open Facebook right now, you will see your name, your age, your job, your some description, your pictures, your friends list, so on and so forth, right? Let's say you have filled all the 1,000 columns and I only filled 10 columns, because all the columns are not mandatory, right? All the columns are not mandatory. So let's say I fill only 10 columns and you have filled 1,000 columns. So 990 columns for me is blank, whereas for you there is data. So 990 columns will still occupy that amount of space based on, let's say, this varchar or number or string, whatever, so on and so forth, right? So now in that, Facebook realized that, you know, database is not the right technology. So what they did, and they asked the developer to learn Java. And when they asked developers to learn Java, you know, many people were not flexible about it. They said that, no, I'm not going to learn Java. Many people started leaving the job and moving on to some other places wherein they could program in databases. Right? That's when Facebook realized, oh, no, this is not the right way to tell people. And then they developed a program called Hive Query Language, which is very similar to SQL, but then which implements big data in the background. For example, I'll show that to you, okay, in some time from now. So even if you don't know Java, you are not going to be handicapped. You would still be able to do programming in Hadoop. Okay, it has matured enough so that even if you don't know Java, you'll still be good. Okay. Now, RDD, MapReduce, Spark, Hadoop. Okay, there are many things, right? I mean, Spark is said to be 100 times more, you know, faster than MapReduce, because it's all in-memory operation in Spark, Satya. But then again, the logic that you would use in Spark is still the same as MapReduce. So if you know MapReduce, it'll be easy for you to implement in Spark. And Spark, you can implement Spark in Python as well. Okay, that's the best part. Now, coming back to the example over here, what is S? It's also it's a data type called list. Okay, how do I access only the first one? Okay, see, this is how I can access the data in a list. Okay, or how do I access from 0 to 2? There you go. From 2 to n. There you go. Right? I mean, slicing and dicing the data in Python is extremely easy. Okay. Now, let me define a dictionary for you. Now, when I say D, what do I get? Hello world, right? I say D of A is hello. Does this look like key value pair? It does, right? It's dictionary. Now there are three important things that you would need to learn in Python. Okay, one is called as list. The second is called as dictionaries, and third is called as tuple. Okay, these are the three different data types which, if you learn or which if you know, Python learning will be very easy. Okay, and what's a tuple? Let's define a tuple. Now, if I do type of tu, there you go. Absolutely, Hemant, right? See, Hemant is able. Hemant is, he is concurring with me, saying that if I have to do the same thing in Java, it will need a lot of lines of code. Whereas in case of Python, just look at it. I'm just able to slice and dice the data. Now, see, this is tuple. Even in tuple, it's the same thing. Okay, the only difference between a list and a tuple is that list is mutable, whereas tuple is immutable. Okay, now let me do with a string. Okay, let's say s equal to hello world. Okay, I say s dot, or I can say, did you see that I just took a string? Okay, I just took a string, I split the two words based on the space over here, and then I have two different strings here. You see, isn't this just amazing? Now, guys, you might be finding it a little complicated. Okay, I mean, I'm moving very fast, right? For many of you, I might be sounding, you might be like, what is this? It's typing a lot of stuff which I don't understand. That's totally okay. Okay, if you don't understand some things over here, you can ask. That's the first thing. If you do not want to ask, also, you will have this videos later on, and then you can have a look at it. Okay, later on. But then, just understand the thing that I'm trying to explain is just understand the power of Python. Okay, let me show you some fancy stuff. Let me show you some fancy stuff. Okay, how many of you know imdb.com? How many of you have seen imdb? I'm sure everyone watches movie, right? I am a big movie buff. So what I do is every time I have to watch a movie, even if I have to download a movie, I go to imdb.com, and then uh, I see as to which are the good movies over there, which has good ratings, etc. And I pull those. Uh, I download those movies. Okay. All right. Now, if you look at this, right, guys, just look at this. Guys, everyone able to see my screen on IMDb? Okay, excellent. Okay, excellent. Now, if you see this, right, which is the top listed movie from 2005 to 2014? The Dark Knight. Okay, that's an amazing movie, right? Inception, another mind-boggling movie. Okay, The Dark Knight Rises, The Avengers. This is my where is Iron Man? That used to be my favorite movie. But you see, Inglourious Basterds, Interstellar, Prestige, and so on and so forth. But too many. Okay, my favorite movie Iron Man is somewhere in the 20s, 30s. I don't know. Okay, now if you look at this, right, there are how many 50 movies over here. If I do next over here, there'll be next list of 50 movies. Let's say I want to find out the top 100 movies, and I want that in a piece of paper. How would you do it? Let's say I ask all of you guys, okay, guys, just listen to me carefully. I ask you to give me the top 100 movies from imdb.com. I want to do some kind of analysis, okay. So what you'll do, you'll say one number is the Dark, whatever, KNIGST, right? Dark Knight. And then what's the length of the movie? 152 minutes. And what else? What else? What else? It was released in, what else? And it's action, crime, and drama, right? Action, crime, and drama. Okay. Split 1:100. No, but how would you pull the data, Vijay? Right? That's what I'm trying to say. Say, let's say second movie is Inception and blah blah blah, right? I mean, same information. Okay. Third is again the Dark Knight Rises, and so forth, so on and so forth. Okay. Now, what would you do in order to pull this data? Either you can write this manually, or if I were you, I would write this code. How many lines of code, guys? This is just a URL. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. This is just printing, okay? Just 10 lines of code. Now let's see. I'm running this in 10 lines of code, okay? Now let me show you the data, and then I'll explain to you as to what I did. I'll explain you the code as well. And I'll be sharing this code with you, okay? See, now you'll have to excuse me for the amount of time it takes, because again, there are too many things open in my system. You see this Dark Knight Rises, Inception, the Dark Knight, the Dark Knight Rises, Avengers, Batman Begins, Django Unchained, Avatar, Departed, Inglourious Basterds, Interstellar, The Prestige. How do you think I pulled this data? Any idea, guys? Absolutely, Santosh. This is web scraping, right? And with how many lines of code did I do web scraping? Just 10 lines of code. Now, okay, if I tell you to do this thing, okay, if I ask you to go to Amazon.com, Flipkart.com, Snapdeal.com, if I ask you to scrap the data on, let's say, denim jeans pants, 32-inch waist, and then do a comparison of all the 3 products in this 3 website, would you be able to create your own product and then say that, you know, this is productcompares.com, something like that? Would you be able to do using web scraping? I mean, I'm just giving you an idea. There are many people who are already doing it. There is a company which has 1,000 people employed, which just does web scraping. Okay. What do you think PolicyBazaar.com does? How many of you know PolicyBazaar.com? And there are many other companies which just does this. Compare, Buy, Hatke, Policy Bazaar, Compare, Raja, Jungli, they all do web scraping, trust me. And see, the idea is not that great, but then your implementation has to be great, okay? See, every big product has a simple idea. Even Facebook was a simple idea, right? They just made it awesome product. Even Jungli.com, Policy Bazaar, Compare, they're all simple ideas. They just made it awesome. The website looks good, the UI is better, but internally it's again simple mechanism. It's just web scraping or something over there. I'm not sure about TripAdvisor, Hemant. I've not looked into the code, and they don't say it, right? These are all proprietary. I don't know what they do. Maybe it started with web scraping, but then they must have tied up with all these different companies or hotels, etc. Now you see, now let me explain to you as to what I did. I have this URL. I've taken this URL, okay. I open that URL using a package called urllib2. I read that. What do I read? If you do a right click over here and then do a view page source, what is it that you get? What is this, guys? What code is this? HTML code, right? Isn't it? Absolutely. So what I do over here, I read the HTML code and then I put that into a Beautiful Soup package over here. This Beautiful Soup package from BS4, right? I input that to Beautiful Soup, and all I do over here is I do a little bit of formatting here and there so as to find the right data. Now TD title, okay. So if you see here, TD, okay, let me TITLE. If I look at title, right? If there is any tags which has TD and title together, just take out the title. Okay, there is a T title over here, there's a TD over here, so it gives me the Dark Knight. There you go. So it gives me the name of the title. So I mean, I'll not go into very detail of it because I have to cover big data aspects of it as well. But then it's this easy, okay? The next thing, let me show you one more thing. Now this is even more interesting, okay? Now after this, I'll show you the integration of big data. Okay, let's return. I would be pulling the Twitter data real time, do a sentiment analysis on that, and show to you as to as to how you can pull social media data real time and do your analysis. Let's say I want to know as to what's happening with Modi and what's happening with Obama. Okay, and how many tweets I want? I just want 10 tweets. Now search word Modi is being processed. Now you see someone has just said High Court allows music at Varanasi Ghat for Modi Abe visit. Okay, it's the same thing. So Kejriwal gets smoked for ignoring National Herald. Fair enough. The recent debate on SM volunteers, blah blah blah. You see, and then now usually rocks the new tweets arrived. President Obama. Wait, it says the overall sentiment for Modi is neutral at this point in time. Yeah, this is my personal written flume, Santosh. See what is the internal code of Flume? That's what I thought. You know, I used to use Flume long back to pull data from Twitter, but then I thought, why can't I write my own app similar to Flume? And then I wrote Python code. Okay, so for Obama, semi-positive. Sentiment is semi-positive. Okay. So basically, I can share this code with you later on. Have a look at it. It's a little bigger code. Okay, it's not that very simple here. I'll have to explain the entire code, and then it might take a couple of hours for me to explain the entire code. But then it's doable. It's no big deal. It took me a couple of 2 days to write this entire code. Okay, so now let me move on. So far, so good, right, guys? Let me. I've been talking a lot, so let me grab a glass of water. Okay. Okay. If you want to work on Python, you don't need to install any other tool apart from Python. Okay. Now, why am I not able to do a full screen? Where's the full screen button over? This is the full screen, right? Oh, there you go. There you go. Leveraging analytical power of Python on big data sets, writing map reduce using Python with libraries such as Hadoop and SciPy. It's a dream come true for big data analytics. Okay. Now, let's talk about extracting data from complex JSON for processing. Can I do that? How do I do how do I extract the data, complex data such as JSON and do processing? Or how do I do text analytics? Okay, this example of extracting data and text analytics is done over here. Now, what is the output, guys? Have you guys seen Twitter data anytime? See, this is how Twitter gives you data, okay, and that too in JSON format. Okay, when you pull the data from Twitter, the data that comes to you is in JSON format. Okay, I've just formatted it over here. Now, using Python, yes, I'll be sharing the code, Heman. Using Python, I'll be able to read the JSON code and use. I can also integrate Python with big data so as to read the JSON code and then format it. See, this was JSON. I took this code and then I just formatted it. I took this data and just formatted it. I also did a text analytics and that's where. Okay, Hadoop documents, and if I say Python and then let's say 10 data, when I just ran that, right, you see it created this as well. If you look at the time, it created at 9:53, right? It's 9:56 now. it created this diagram as well. 67% neutral, 22% positive, and 11% negative for Obama. Okay. Now, what did I do? I did a text analytics of the tweet data that I just got. And how did I store the tweet data? See, tweet data for Obama is over here. I'll just open in an Excel sheet and show it to you. Okay, the way I capture is I go to Twitter, do a handshake, I pull all the tweets from Twitter, store it in a file, and read that file, do text analytics, draw a diagram, and give an output. You see here, these are all the tweets. I gave 10 tweets, and there you go. You have 10 tweets over here. Okay, there you go. I mean, you don't have to understand everything, guys. If you don't understand something, that's okay, that's cool, right? No one becomes expert in one day, okay, or in 1 hour. It takes time for you to understand, but just try to understand as to what is the power of Python. And now let's see the power of Python along with big data, okay? Now let me quickly go into big data. So, okay, guys, you okay with what you have seen so far? Can I move on to big data now? Because I want to show you that part as well, right? You have not seen the power of big data now. You have just seen power of Python. Now you'll see power of big data, and then we'll combine the power of Python along with the big data. So it's just amazing, okay? It's just, I mean, you'll be amazed to see as to what the technology can do. It's just amazing. There you go. This is Putty, okay? Now, this is a VM wherein I'm already logged in. I have installed big data in this VM, okay? Now, what I would do is I would connect to this VM using Putty. So my username is Hadoop, and my password is star 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 star. Okay, there you go. Let it log in. There you go. Now, first thing I'll have to do is start Hadoop in order to use it. Okay, I'm at bin, and then I say start all. Now, I'll not go into the intricacies of you know, how do I start all Hadoop, or what is the configuration parameter, etc. I'll not go into that detail, right? It'll not make sense. I do not want to confuse you. Just don't worry whatever you are seeing on screen. You know, just this is for your reference. Okay, I'm just starting Hadoop right now. There again, it's taking a little time. You see, there are 5 daemons which needs to start. The daemons for Hadoop are called name node, data node, secondary name node, job tracker, and task tracker. Okay, those are the daemons that needs to start for your Hadoop to start. If any of these daemons fails, then you are gone. You know, your Hadoop has not started. So basically, Hadoop 2 configuration with Python same as Hadoop 1. Basically, from coding perspective, Praveen, there is no change whatsoever. What is daemon? Daemon is a background process, Deepak. Okay. Now, if I do a JPS, Java processes, you'll have all those background processes will be listed over here. You'll have to bear with me for some time. Okay, it's a little slow. But what I would do is I'll close one of these big programs so that you know, it becomes a little faster. There you go. Task tracker, name node, job tracker, data node, and secondary name node. Now, each of these background processes or daemons has a specific task. Now, okay, let me explain that to you, right? How many of you know big data? How many of you know Hadoop? Okay, Santosh, you know. Anyone else? Okay, Hemant. Okay, yes, Hemant, you know, right? Deepak, no. Praveen knows. Okay, excellent, Ananya. You have taken the class with Edureka already. A little bit. Okay, let me do a refresher for you guys, right? For those of you who know Hadoop, it's a refresher for you. For those of you who do not know, it's a fresh learning for you. Okay, in Hadoop, right? There are few things. Okay, all of these are task tracker. Okay, so basically there are 5 background processes in a Hadoop, right? Name node, secondary name node, job tracker, task tracker, and data node. Okay, I will explain one liner of each of these. Secondary name node it backs up everything from name node, okay, including file system image, log files, edit log, everything. So what is this? This is a backup. And what kind of backup is this? This is periodic backup, okay. It's a periodic backup. And which version of Hadoop I'm talking about? I'm talking about Hadoop 1.x. Yes, excellent. Now, what's a secondary name node? What's a name node? It stores your metadata. Okay. What's a job tracker? It is someone who distributes the tasks. Oops. Okay, whatever. Now, what is data node? It actually stores the data. Actual data storage. Okay. And what's a task tracker? It carries the code and data location for execution later. Okay. Basically, it carries your map, reduce code, etc., etc. So, secondary name node is an hourly backup, okay, or 10 minutes backup or 5 minutes backup. Basically, it's a periodic backup. Name node consists of all metadata. Job tracker is the one who distributes the task along with name node, right? Task tracker carries the code and data location for execution and actual data storage over here, right? So these are the 5 daemons that we have. Now let's go and see in our as to what are the daemons over here: task tracker, name node, job tracker, data node, and secondary name node. Okay, that's what we have seen. Now, how do I execute my MapReduce code? That we will see. I'm not going to explain to you as to how it's being executed, but let me show you something interesting that might interest you. Install Hive bin. I've started a Hive shell. You know, I did explain to you about a story about how Facebook, developed Hive so that, it does not have to write program in Java. So I'm starting Hive, okay. Now I'll show you after it starts, I'll show you as to, okay, let it start and then I'll explain to you as to what Hive is. Now let me close this. This is done. Don't save. I don't want to save it. Now let me close this as well. There you go. There you go. My Hive has started. Okay. When it shows Hive over here, it means Hive has started. When I say show tables, it will list all the tables. How many of you have worked on MySQL? Now the syntax of Hive is the same as MySQL. Okay. Now if I say show tables, it will show. Now see, I have listed something over here, okay, how to work in Hive. Okay, this is some notes that I have made, and I would be sharing this with you later on, but let me show you. Okay, when I say show tables, it will list all the tables. Now it's a tad slow, so bear with me for some time. It's taking too much time, right? But let me explain to you as to how it actually works. When I do the Hive, if I do show tables, it will list all the tables. Let's say employees, salary. These are the tables, right? Department, and so on and so forth. This will list all the tables, okay? And then you see here, all the tables. Do you see this, guys? All of these are tables. So when I say select star from employees 1, what happens? Now internally, so when I say select count star from employees, See, this is big data. Don't confuse this with your normal relational database. Okay, this is not a database. You see, total map reduced jobs 1, launching job 1 out of 1, number of reduced tasks at compile time 1. See here, set Hive maximum reducers. Now mapper and reducer will start. See, mapper and reducer has already started. So this is big data. Okay, guys, are you able to understand something? Something? Yes, excellent. If there are someone who are not able to understand, do let me know. Okay. Now what I would do is, now let it run. In the meantime, I'll show you something. Now let it run. It's running in the background. Let it run. I'll show you something over here. Okay, let me go here. Let me open it. Is Hive replacement? No, Hive is not a replacement for MapReduce, Deepak. But then mostly, if you look at all these data scientists, data analysts, etc., right? They would never program in Java. Okay, they would not even write code in Python. So the best thing for them is to implement Hive, and using Hive, you'll be able to execute, or you'll be able to process terabytes, petabytes, zettabytes of data. So it is kind of replacement for MapReduce, but there are circumstances in which you would need explicit MapReduce, for which you'd either need to write code in Python or in Java. Okay, so 80% of time, yes, Hive is replacement for MapReduce, but for the next 20%, you might have to write a custom UDF for MapReduce. Okay, any day, see, Hive MapReduce is faster than Hive any day, but then for huge amount of data, it does not make any difference, Praveen. If it is huge amount of data, it will almost show you similar times. With, of course, MapReduce being a little faster, but that's okay. Just a second. Python. Let me show this to you. These are some of my class related modules and notes, etc. Right. So see here, the mapper has started and the reducer has started as well. Okay. Now what I'm trying to show you is, after you've seen this, I will show you the integration of Hadoop with Python now. That's the next step. Okay. So let me open this. Where did it go? Come on. Okay, let me open this script, and then I would show you as to how do I integrate this Python and big data. Oh man, it's taking some time. So guys, in the meantime, okay, there you go. It's opened. Okay, excellent. So okay, let me take this Control C. I would Control A, Control V, and then I would say language equal to SQL. Now, see here, how do I integrate a Python script with big data? Okay, see, this is a Hive table. Create table name, right, guys? It's easy. And then the next step I'm doing is I'm loading the data into the table. The third step would be, let me open one more screen, duplicate session, one more putty. In the meanwhile, let me close this as well. There you go. It's just taking a lot of time. Okay, let me explain to you in the meanwhile. I mean, this is also not readed. There you go, Hadoop, and then I will go and put my password as well. There you go. Password is done. See here, the whole code that was running, right? It took some time. The reason why it is taking time is my laptop is 4 GB RAM laptop, and in that 2 GB has been taken by this VM, and then there are a lot many other programs which is running. That's the reason why it is slow. Okay, but if this were to be in other machine, it would just take 10-15 seconds. That's all. And you see, count star gave me 4 as an output. Now, the next thing that I wanted to show you was I've written a Python code. Okay, vi. You see here, I've written a Python code. It's a simple function wherein I accept the data using standard input. Standard input is like whatever you enter through your keyboard, right? That's a standard input, okay? And line, I just strip the line of white spaces. I split the data into column 1, column 2, column 3, and then I just print the output. Now what am I doing over here? I create this table, I load the data, I add the file, the Python file. Any Python file should have to be saved as .py. For example, if I create a function over here, fun, and then I say return a plus b, and I say a comma b, this will just add 2 numbers. If I have to save this, what do? I save it as, let's say I want to save it in desktop, it's a sum.py. That's how I save a Python file. Okay, there you go. It's saved as a Python file. Okay, now I add the file, and then I say select transform of the column name. This is the keyword that I need to use. Using Python, that file whichever just has been added, and as the alias column from the table, which is this one. See here. Now this line will give you the integration of Python and big data. Now let me execute this and show it to you. First of all, let me do a drop table. I must have already have this table, okay? Yeah, there you go. Table has been dropped. Table created, right? Now when I say select star from key value data, there you go. There are no records. I load this data now. I load the data into the table, and now when I say select star from table, there you see there is some data over here, isn't it, guys? Just have a look at it, okay? Don't get confused. If I'm going a little faster, just let me know. And then I say add this file inside Hive now. Now I execute the statement. And then you see now the Hive query is executing a Python file. That's the integration of Hadoop and Python. Now Hadoop is very powerful. It can process terabytes and petabytes of data, whereas Python is powerful in order to manipulate the data. Right? Python is extremely powerful. You saw, using Python, I can scrap the web page, I can pull data from Twitter, just name it. I can write machine learning code, I can write sentiment analysis, I can write NLTK programs, I can do anything with Python, right? With Hadoop, I can process huge amount of data. With Python, see, Hadoop is like the length of the job, whereas Python does the breadth of the job. By which I mean to say that Hadoop can process huge amount of data, zettabytes of data, whereas Python can manipulate data at a row level, right? So the integration of Hadoop and Python is deadly. So basically, if you go and say in any interview, right, if you say I know Hadoop and I know Python, you're more likely to be hired. Even the person who is interviewing might not know both the technologies. Okay, Santosh, let me understand your question. What's the advantage here of getting the data via Python script? You can transform the data and then get the output. Okay, let's say, for example, Santosh, I want to do with every row of data, I want to do, hypotenuse square equal to base square plus altitude square. If I want to do this formula, how would I do just with Hadoop? I would need to write some kind of UDF, right? So basically, what I have written over here is a kind of UDF. Yes, I need UDF. So this is a kind of UDF over here. That's the integration. Okay. Hive is no. See, Hive is not mandatory for Python. Python is not mandatory for Hive. Okay, they are two disjoint technologies. But then when you combine these two disjoint technologies, it becomes very powerful. Okay, Praveen. And Sundar, if you have never worked as a developer, that's not a problem, right? You have worked as an admin. Admin uses as an admin, you can use this technology, Python, to automate a lot of your stuff that you're doing. So you actually don't need, you know, you can actually do a lot by learning either Python or even big data. So you can become a big data admin as well. Or if you learn both, that's even better. Okay, so that's the integration. Now let's see as to what I missed over here. Okay, I've given few demos. Now, guys, any questions? Like I told you, I'll leave the last 10 minutes for any questions that might come your way. Okay, this is amazing. Okay, Pydoop, right? Pydoop is a very powerful package in Python, using which you can write all your MapReduce code inside Python itself. Okay, you don't have to write streaming code. Now, what I mean by streaming is any code that is any MapReduce code, if you want to execute in let's say big data, any code MapReduce code that you want to execute in big data must be normally written in Java. If it is not written in Java, it executes via streaming method, okay, via standard input and standard output. So, but if you have Pydoop, you don't need to use that streaming technology. Everything is embedded inside Pydoop, and you can write all your code in one page. Okay, it's powerful, but we'll not dig very deeper into it. Python. Okay, now I see a question. How to run Python code on Hadoop cluster? You can do this. See here. There are other ways to run it as well, but this is one simple way, Sundar. See here, I am executing a Python code in Hadoop, in Hive. Or I can do this as well. Or what I can do is, I can say Hadoop jar. There is a package called Hadoop streaming.jar, and then you can say mapper equal to, let's say, map.py is your Python file, reducer equal to red.py. Let's say your input is in some location dot dot dot, your output is in some location somewhere dot dot dot. That's it. You can execute it this way as well, Sundar. Okay, there are many ways to execute it. I'm just giving you some of the easier examples. Yep, I'll be sending you those scripts as well, Jarpula. No worries. Can you integrate Python code with Pig, HBase? You can integrate Python with everything. Okay, you can integrate with Pig, you can integrate with HBase, you can integrate with MongoDB, you can integrate with Hive. You can even integrate Python with Java. There you go. Okay. So Python with data science, now it's now this is one of the most amazing functionality of Python, right? Any data scientist, engineers, analysts, you know, whoever are working in analytics, basically, if you go even in your company, right, you'd have an analytics department. Go and check in analytics department. Most often than not, analysts and data scientists would be writing a lot of Python code. Okay, so Python has amazing set of features for data scientists and data analysts. Now, these are few examples over here of, yes, you can integrate Satya, you can integrate Python with any database for that matter, not just Oracle database. You can integrate Python with MySQL, SQL Server, Oracle, you just have to create a connection, okay, which I did not cover here, but again it's simple. Just search for Python Oracle connector, and then you'll be able to find it out. Now there you go, SciPy, NumPy. There are many packages which you can have a look at it later on. Now, okay, last but not the least, okay, so basically, see, for learning, you can yourself go ahead and learn. Okay, you can search in Google, you can find material, you can read on your own, and you can learn a lot of stuff. Okay, I'll share my email ID as well. You can ask me questions as well, and I'll be more than happy to respond to your questions. But if you want to learn more, if you want to learn from Edureka, if you want to learn from some of very experienced professional, if you want to learn from their experience, then what you can do is you can enroll in this class which starts from 26th December, and what you'll be able to learn is you'll be able to learn basics of Python, writing Python scripts, sequences, file operations, machine learning in Python, web scraping, MapReduce in Python, Hadoop streaming, and endless. Actually there are Python object oriented concepts in Python. So the list are endless. I think the course is for 30 hours, right? Online live courses for 30 hours. It'll be someone like me who will be talking continuously and giving lectures, and then you can ask your questions. You can get your problem solved. Even if you have problems in your office, you can get it solved. The instructor are very kind enough to volunteer to help you guys on that. There are 20 hours of projects and lifetime access to the instructor's expertise, and access to the contents. And if you have any further questions on that, okay. Now, okay, I see there are questions already. You'll be the instructor for this batch, 26th December, most likely, yes. Most often than not, I am the one. Okay, just writing my email ID, okay? Send to all. Okay, there you go. If you have any questions, you can get back to me, or the support staff will get back to you, okay? Oh, you did not get it? Just a second. But why? I just sent it. Okay, make a note of this, guys. Make a note of this. But if you're sending me an email, guys, make sure you also include support@edureka.co. Okay, and okay, you did not get my email ID. Just a second. Then it's I don't know. All of a sudden, again, my system has become just type. It's BALARAM at edureka.co. Okay, it's BALARAM. How do we call the class method from another using Python? Okay, it's very simple. Okay, let me just show you. Good that you asked. So let's say this is a class test that I have defined, right? And there is a method that I have defined, meth1, and then inside that you have self, okay? And then you just do something, dot a, whatever, right? You just instantiate the object. That's it, and then you can call the method a dot method or something like that. How do you call class method from another class? You just have to instantiate that class in another class, or you just inherit that class. And because you asked this question, right? See, the difference between Java and Python is that you have multi-level inheritance allowed here in case of Python. But whereas in case of Java, you'll have to do an implement, right? You just create a skeleton over here, over there, and then you implement it, right? You cannot extend more than one class. But in this case, if you want to inherit, let's say class, subclass, all you do is you inherit it this way. That's it. You have inherited the class. Make sense, guys? There you go. That's my email ID, guys. Thank you for attending this webinar. I hope I've helped you. Santosh is saying you have convinced me enough to take Python class. Santosh, I actually, you know, I am actually, I did not want, it's not about convincing you, it's just about if you want to learn something, of course, you'll have to make a little bit of sacrifice, 3 hours on Saturdays and 3 hours on Sundays, right? It's up to you. Okay. Heyman says, I'm going to leave Java now, Python rocks. Absolutely, Heyman. That's what Python is my first love. Okay, I love Python. You ask me to do whatever, and I'll just do it in Python. So, yeah, I'm sure I could not share a lot of information because of constraints of time, guys. And sorry for that. But maybe some other time, if you are in some class, I should be able to help you out more with that. Okay, no problem, Ananya. Okay, take care, guys. You have my email ID. Support folks will contact you. Let them know if you have any questions, and I'll see you some other time. Take care. It was nice teaching you. Good questions, and thank you again. Good night, guys. Yep, I'll do that. I'll send it to support staff. Not today. You'll get it by end of the day tomorrow. Okay. Okay, Deepak. Okay, guys. I'm logging off. Bye bye.